Camera shy. Get the ratings up.
I hope you didn't pick me up on the thing. I didn't know I'm on the phone. You don't even see.
Same song. Same song. Same song. I'm gonna go. Keep going.
That's just fine.
Right. Our records indicate that you, Jonathan Johnson, failed to appear as summoned for jury service on the date noted above, 5/6/2019. According to Maryland law, you may be subject to contempt proceedings and or sanctions if you continue to disregard your jury obligation. This may result in a fine of up to 1,000 and or up to 60 days of imprisonment for each infraction. Annotated Code of Maryland Court and Judicial Proceedings 8-504. All around the world saying, I wanted to keep that on until Tupac got to his part. I like Tupac's part. And this is Yehonathan Dawid with you here, Yahweh for Christians at gmail.com 443-306-3518. I ain't singing the same song. That's why I'm here. Because I ain't singing the same song because that's why you are here singing the same song. Last week I talked about um, I mentioned how I looked at the creeds of about 170 nations all around the world. Their mottos, their insignias, their money. I looked at all the things they put out there to represent them, and the overwhelming majority of them touted God all around the world. And those who did not tout God touted the unity of work and pulling together, labor movement, strong working together, everybody coming together. Everybody was singing the same song under God and labor. Meanwhile, back here on the ranch in America, KKK, one nation under God, in God we trust, with liberty and just us. And here you are talking about reparations in the same place you've been since the beginning, singing the same old song. But I can't even get anybody to listen. Who is here in my report?
This is Yahweh for Christians at gmail.com. 443-306-3518. You can find this book at Everyone's Place African Cultural Center at 1356 West North Avenue 21217.
That's Clementina Iniola, who decided to stop singing the same old song. But you, what you need? Another 400 plus years to stop singing it? Let's do this. I put my Bible in the holster today. I put it right in the holster because I'm going to show you. Because people, we tend to think that when you open the Bible, we talk about religion. I don't talk about religion. I talk about life. When you open that Bible, it's just a hologram of life. How are we singing the same song? Let's go way back to the Civil War. We've been singing it since even before then. But in 1865, Robert E. Lee and Ulysses S. Grant shook hands and hugged and kissed and smacked butt, ending the Civil War. But what did we do? What happened? What really resulted is that, like the bird that Noah let free from the ark, flew out, had nowhere to establish anything, and came back. Good Friday, April 14th, 1865, they assassinated Lincoln. Right after, so how long did it take before the ending of the war when the North won? They waited, what, a hot week? You went from April 9th to April 14th. So the war officially ended on April 9th. By the 14th, they done killed the president. They killed the president. You cannot force someone to like you. You cannot force morality. It doesn't matter what law you put up there. The person's heart is still the heart that they have. And what did we do? We thinking we doing what's right. 180,000 African Americans joined the Union Army. We were a big reason why they won. But Pastor David Johnson tells us, when you see white people fighting white people, you need to stay out. So we had 180,000 join the Union to help win this war. We're supposed to get a benefit out of it. So after they assassinated Lincoln, Southern Democrat Andrew Johnson takes over. And he fought the Republican Party tooth and nail, toe to toe, against everything they wanted to advance for your cause, my cause, our cause. But Frederick Douglass says that none of them were any friends of the black. But we did so-called win. Things looked good and rosy for a while. You get your 40 acres and a mule. And things are looking up right. I want you to avail yourself of, I know we don't like to read. This is why I doubt if you're going to see me on the New York Times bestsellers list, even though I have literature worthy of reading. But maybe you will at least look at a video, because I'm going to talk a little bit about our destruction, which they labeled Reconstruction. I'm showing it right now. I might go over today. I'm not going to. I might go over today. If we do, stay with us. I don't know whether I'm going to be, how long I'll be on the radio, but all of this will be uploaded on the YouTube channel. And what I just showed on the channel is a PBS DVD called Reconstruction: America After the Civil War. And I suggest you get that and look at that, because I'm going to refer to that in some of my data that I talk about today. But once the Civil War was over, you had labor contracts were drawn. And so our dependence remained. The South refused to give up. They started the black codes, and our black men were gathered up and arrested as vagrants and re-enslaved. Children were taken because they didn't have parents and they were enslaved, and you really was locked up for being unemployed. If you did not sign these contracts to continue working with them, you were locked up. Your children were called apprentice, and their parents had no rights. The KKK came about after the Civil War, 1866, started attacking anybody who was black, who was improving, was being attacked. If you started making a come up, you were being attacked. One of the things, if you think about it, I want to, might have to spend a whole segment just on this, but the reason why we stay down is because we co-opt with our oppressors. throughout the history of the Hebrew Israelite, the only way we could be defeated is if we hoard ourselves out to the nations around us. I spent a few weeks talking about Ezekiel 23 and even briefly went to um, Ezekiel 16 and talked about this. If you think about it, nothing could stop the Hebrew man except he co-opt with those around him who do not believe in Yahweh. When you see David, Samson, and others, David and his mighty men who fought and killed hundreds of men at a time, so how did they do that? You realize that we were able to jump and leap. And Brother Eric was talking yesterday about how we even use sound as a weapon, and we did. Even our sound, we can have sound and voice for weapons. But what suppresses all of that is fear, which is why we've been taught to fear God. The only way we were able to lose is if we co-opted with the system around us. How did they do that? They give us their women. And with their women came their gods. So when you co-opt, then you lose all that ruach that was in us to jump and leap. All this stuff you see about karate and all that, and these superheroes, that's real. Real Hebrews were able to. You think if David killed 200 men, they just all lined up one at a time to have him kill them? No, these were mighty men of war. And they came all around him. But if you can leap 20 feet up in the air and across another 10 feet behind them and kill more and jump and flip and do matrix moves, then yes, you can kill 200, 300 people, one man. That's real. Where do you think they get it from? Those awkward moving on positions and body positions to duck weapons, to catch weapons in the air and flip them and turn them and spin them back and duck and cause men to kill themselves, each other. We were able to kill hundreds of people at a time. The only way you could be defeated physically was through inventions. Check the record out. They always had to have inventions to defeat Israel. With the chariots and the horsemen and the armor, Israelites did not wear armor. They did not have chariots and horses. Solomon did it later, but he never fought no war with a bunch of chariots and horses. They were for show, for the most part. So what does that show? You are grounded with fear. So slavery put fear in us to ground us. You cannot rise when you're in fear. And how you lose your authority position is by cooperating with the system around you. Same old song.
This is Yahweh for Christians at gmail.com, 443-306-3518. You can find this book at Everyone's Place African Cultural Center at 1356 West North Avenue, 21217.
Okay, so we're going to have you repeat that. I didn't have you on. Go ahead.
This is Yahweh for Christians at gmail.com, 443-306-3518. You can find Yahweh for Christians at Everyone's Place African Cultural Center at 1356 West North Avenue, 21217.
That's Clementina Iniola, who is not singing the same old song. She's going to be doing my commercials for me today. I'm learning this mic system, and I don't think I had you on the first time, but now I know how to do it. Jason, thanks, my man. That's my safety net over there. So, the black codes. So now we so-called won, then you get the black codes. You're being arrested for being unemployed. Your children are being taken from you as apprentice. So what did they do? So Republic. See, one of the tricks of your oppressor is this, is they get into a situation that's fine before they got there. Then they muck it up, and then they come up with their solution to fix the muck that they mucked up. And then what happens is you got a new normal. So now the whole world accepts the current system as the new normal, which was not like it was before they came in. Then they muck that up, because what happens is Hebrews always rise. We have been blessed. We cannot fail. So in any situation we're in, no matter how acidic the environment is, no matter how oppressive the situation we are in, if left alone, we will eventually rise in that system, that new system. That is the truth. As a matter of fact, I might have to start talking. I'm gonna have to do a segment on the Harlem Renaissance. You forgot about that, didn't you? The Harlem Renaissance is a great example. But I move on. So what they do is they have to go ahead and cause chaos in the new system. Then you do well, you co-opt in that, and you figure that one out, and then you rise, and then they bust that one down. That is the pattern. Yet you still gonna keep on singing the same song, following their blueprints. They keep giving you rules, you abide by them, you do well in them, and then they go ahead and muck it up and take those away and change that. All to keep you in fear, to keep you from only place they want you jumping now is on the basketball court. They don't want you rising because one of you can make 1,000 of them flight. That's why they have inventions. That's why they have inventions. Because a righteous man cannot be defeated. A righteous man in Yah. So the South is upset. They're upset because you got these rights. You had all Memphis riots, May of 1866, and a whole lot of other places. But I mentioned the Memphis riot in specific because here you had just regular old, or you had the white police, all right, who are supposed to be upholding the law, shooting and killing black soldiers. Black soldiers. Now, how can that be? You got police killing black soldiers who fought in the war. Got away with it. All across America, from Memphis on across, they burned down our houses, our churches, and our schools. Burned down churches that we co-opted to worship in. Burned down our schools which we co-opted to learn from. Going to your church, following your gods, going to your schools, learning what you tell us to learn, and you burn them down. That's what I'm talking about, how they cause chaos, then you get a new order, then they cause chaos again, and then you get another new order. 14th Amendment comes, June 1866. Now, of course, President Johnson fought it in every way, but Congress overrode his veto. Okay, the Republican dominated Congress, overrode the veto, so it passes. Now you have 1,500 blacks moving into positions of leadership in the legislature. 1,500, can you believe it? 1866. Look up names like Robert Smalls, Hiram Revels, Joseph Rainey, Richard Kane. There were 14 elected black men in Congress, and we even had 2 senators. Ninjas in the White House. South Carolina, places like South Carolina had a majority of African Americans of 60%. They ruled the House of Republicans, the House of Representatives, ruled it. So you have a new order going on after the North beats the South in the Civil War. A whole new order. Now there's what's called a Reconstruction period. Of course, the South is not going to give up like that. But this is a time period where your voting really mattered. This is the only time period where voting actually made a difference. Unlike today, your franchise doesn't mean jack. It means nothing. All across the fruited plains of Southern America, and even some places in the north, they burn down your churches. They burn them down as you come out shooting us down. Burn down the schools. Burn down everything. They just love fire. In the meantime, that became the cornerstone of the African Americans is Christianity, raising a family. The church, the neighborhoods thrived during this brief period of time. And we even started, once again, following oppressors, fraternity organizations like the Masons. We always got to use them as that standard. So we started Black Masons. If it was good enough for them, it was good enough for us. 1868, war hero Ulysses S. Grant becomes president, winning on "Let Us Have Peace" motto. He prosecuted the KKK. This was the first ever election where blacks were able to vote. We put them in there. Guess what? Not Maryland. Maryland voted Democrat. They did not support Ulysses S. Grant. Matter of fact, I was looking up a couple days ago at the election results on his second term. Once again, Maryland did not support Grant. So most of the country, we had the overwhelmingly, he got the black vote. We put him over the top. We get him in there. Frederick Douglass supported him. Even the Indian reformers, he had the natives, they supported him. And this is the only time where your franchise worked. You know, I talked about this, I think last year, if not last year, early this year on my show. I want to, since you're not reading books, show you another video that I suggest you get. I'm going to show it here on the channel that will be uploaded later. And it's called The Indian Wars, A Change of Worlds. It's a 7 CD part documentary. We didn't learn anything from that. If you look at that, and I talked about it, I might revisit it, it's very important, of treaty after treaty that was given to the natives, broken by the writers of it. Hundreds. The way they were done was a template for how they doing us now. The natives in every system given them, everyone, once the oppressors ruined their lives, gave them a new order, the natives used that new order and did well in that order. They messed that up. They did this over 200 times. Yet, they invented the phrase Indian giver, which means if you give something, you take it back. It's called an Indian giver. So the same thing ends up happening with us. Right now, we're in the honeymoon period. We got Grant in office. 1870, he created the U.S. Department of Justice because of what's going on down the South and shooting us and killing us and upset because they lost all these seats and we got 1,500 black people in the legislature. So now we got a whole new system going on. Okay, now we have to make sure we get Grant back in office a second time because of what's happening against us. We got him in there. Overwhelmingly, African American vote was for Grant. Everyone. But what happened on Easter Sunday, 1873, the Colfax Massacre? This happened in Louisiana. You had the Colfax Massacre led by Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus Nash. Boy, did his mother give him the right name. Christopher Columbus. How did the natives feel when Christopher Columbus came to America? I wish they had known, I wish they had foresight to know what that man would do. But anyway, now we're in 1873 with another Christopher Columbus who led the Confederates in this massacre. A massacre that saw the murder of 250 free black men. Only 3 whites were killed. They were burned up. They were even in the courthouses. They would set them on fire. They come out. They shoot them and kill them. And this is after you had rights. This is after you had people in office to vote for your rights. They would not relent. One of the things that bothers me is that they can take a 90-year-old German man, find him that he was a part of the Holocaust, and prosecute this man, give him 100 years. He's 90 years old. Why? Because we have been told, never forget. Don't you ever forget the Holocaust. Now, I agree. I don't care if the man's 98 years old. He should be prosecuted. Matter of fact, I don't care if they give him the gas chamber. You put people in the gas chamber, you should be gassed. And I don't care if they find you and you got away for 90 years. If you murdered, you committed atrocities, I don't care how long it took them to find you, you should be prosecuted. But there ain't no Schindler helping us out. We ain't got nobody come to our rescue. You can murder us and have blood spill in the streets today. They can find the man next week and don't prosecute him. And what we are told is get over it. Stop, keep going back to it. Forget about that. Get over it. But your Jewish brother, we're told, never forget. Never forget the 6 million that were improperly done. Done wrong. Done wrong. Anybody they find who did it, persecute them, prosecute them. I say gas them. I'm all for it. What I'm saying is, what about your Holocaust that we're told to forget? We're told to stop, keep bringing up that stuff. We're told to put it aside, leave it alone. Why? Because the ones who are doing it to you are still doing it to you. It ain't happening to no one else on this earth. No other segment of people on the earth are being treated like the African American. And like melanotonic people in general. None. Nowhere. Oh, but you need to just go ahead and leave that alone. Keep opening up wounds.
This is Yahweh for Christians at gmail.com. 443-306-3518. You can find it at Everyone's Place African Cultural Center at 1356 West North Avenue, 21217.
Thank you, Eniola. Never forget. And you tell you what, I ain't gonna forget our Holocaust. You can't, because every time you walk out the door, you see it happening. It's not something that's in the past. It is in the present. So you got massacres all across the fruit plains of America, all in just us. Just us. Whitely supported the Democratic Party. They disenfranchised African American voters. Today, what does Colfax look like? Guess what? After all that history in Colfax, today it is a United States penitentiary, which is a division of the U.S. Department of Just Us, with 1,350 penitent people in there. How many of them do you think look like me? I'll say about 1,349 of them being penitent. Who should be penitent? The ones who built that penitentiary should be penitent. The ones who murdered 150 freedmen who were in churches and in homes and in the halls of justice because they wanted to vote. Yeah, you're going to give me letters saying, now, at one time, you had to vote to even get a summons to sit on the jury system. But because I don't do that, now they're going to try to bully me and threaten me with imprisonment. Threaten me with imprisonment. You dirty dogs. Ain't going to find me $1,000 because I don't want to be a part of your injustice system. Leave me alone. What, you plan on shooting me when I come out? I'm going to go to this one, and I got some words for them. They're going to be sorry the day they asked me to come, or not asked, demanded me to come in there. They will be sorry the day they told me I had to come in, or they're going to lock me up because I don't want to be part of your injustice system. Look at the news. You can blast a man with 200 rounds in his car, and nobody was guilty. You can kill a man in handcuffs, and nobody is guilty. You can kill a man in front of his daughter and wife, and nobody's guilty. You can kill a woman in jail. Kill her, and nobody's guilty. And you tell me you're going to fire me for not going into your jury system, who are hemmed in with your rules and laws on how to adjudicate this with pre-trial motions. So a lot of them would not vote the way they did, but because of their hemmed in, they have to acquit a lot of these murderers. Murderers in uniform. You have a militant police system. Never forget. The hell with everybody else's injustice. I'm dealing with mine. Look at those DVDs I gave you. So Congressman Robert Elliott gave a speech that helped pass that he gave a speech that was stirring moving. I implore you to to look at it, pull it up on YouTube, print it up on the PDF form, and read it. I'm not going to do that here. But in Stevens versus Elliott, can you believe you have a legal fight against passing the Civil Rights Bill? So there was legal opposition against your civil rights. So this had to go before Congress. You had pushback on both sides. And one of the speakers of it was Congressman Robert Elliott. And he gave a good stirring speech for it, helped push the bill through. But guess what happened to him? 1884, just at the age of 10 to age of 41, he died in poverty. Because remember, the South retook the South, disenfranchised your vote. You could no longer vote. They got all the seats back. He was pushed out and just died in poverty at the 10th age of 41. An attorney going to your school system, learning your laws, your rules, got voted in by your system, and look what you did to him. Look him up. In 1877, the Just Us United States of America KKK pulled back all the troops from the South, and there was open season on your black assets. Burnings abound, hangings abound. There goes your Reconstruction, which is a setup for your destruction. So I'm going to, for those who are following me on the radio, I'm going to sign off, and we're going to continue recording for the YouTube channel, which my IT department will set up. So this
is Yahweh for Christians at gmail.com, 443-306-3518. You can find this book at Everyone's Place African Cultural Center at 1356 West North Avenue, 21217.
You can do the same song. Right. So now, here we go, a new world order. We got a new order now. We got a new order. All your rights are gone. You done won using their system. Through voting, it really worked. You went out there, and I guess Ulysses S. Grant is your first black president. But they gave it up. They gave up the ghost. Nobody, you cannot make somebody like you. You cannot make somebody treat you right. You cannot make somebody love you by laws and rules. Right is right, and wrong is wrong. Period. 1876. The Supreme Court versus Crookshank. I like that name, Crookshank. It's very appropriate. So you have not been this order with the judgment was this come from the United States Supreme Court. Here's what they adjudicated. They said that you have not been denied your rights if you were murdered by citizens. This comes from the United States Supreme Court. If you were murdered because you had lynch mobs down south and some up north, they just came and just burned up everything, killed you, shot you in open street. Some of them even in the courthouses. In courthouses. Poured them out, shot them up. 50 people killed in Louisiana in prison. Went into prison, shot them, killed them, locked up in prison. See, nothing changes. Same old song. Nothing changes. The United States Supreme Court said that none of their rights were violated. None of them. This made it difficult to defend the 14th Amendment. If the Supreme Court says your rights are not violated, when people just go openly and shoot you and kill you, and nothing happens, they're not prosecuted, how are you going to defend the 14th Amendment? How are you going to do it?
We did it, so can you.
The next election after Grant just told the whole story. because you had Hayes versus Tilden. And the Democrats said their motto was Tilden or blood. Now, you better believe that. They have a history of bloodshed. You know, I was looking this up. I can't make this up. The Democrats were called copperheads. Very fitting. If you remember when Moses put the copper snake over the nace. And all those who rebelled against the Most High looked at that copper snake and were healed. You think it's just by luck or happenstance? They identified themselves as copperheads, and they readily accepted that. They tell you what they are. Poisonous snakes, copperheads. Yet to this day, if a man runs for Democrat or woman runs for Democrat, you pour that lever Democrat. You don't even care if it's a dog. If it's a dog running as a Democrat against a Republican, you vote for the dog. Why? Because he's Democrat. Because you don't remember, you don't look at history, you don't read, you don't study, and you damn sure ain't listening to this show. How many people I got in here looking at me, listen to the show? How many books am I selling? If you would listen, if you would heed a man of Yah who does study, who does read, you would not be doing that. You would not be singing the same old song. What happened in the next election? Well, Congress had to step in, and they gave Hayes the victory by one vote. So your next president, Republican president, was a Republican president. Hayes won by one vote by an act of Congress, but they had to cut a deal. Republicans let the South just keep their way of life. So you see, white supremacy is a long-term campaign. It's more important than winning the White House. You know that because you had Black Obama in the White House. So apparently white supremacy does not care who's in the White House. Look who you got in there right now. White supremacy is a life choice. It's a long-range plan. It's a way of life. Who's in the White House does not matter. This is what Hayes said in his inaugural speech. Okay, this is his inaugural speech. This is what Hayes said. Let me assure my countrymen of the southern states that it is my earnest desire to regard their true interest. That means the North just moved on. Open season on your black assets. Open season. They just moved on, took the nomination, you got the Republican president, and again, your reconstruction lasted not even a good 12 years. 1 year for each tribe of Israel. That's how long your reconstruction period lasted. From that point on, your voting didn't mean nothing. And you still here doing it. And on top of that, voting Democrat of all things. You shouldn't be out there voting at all. You see, I'm getting letters saying I better get in there. But if you do, you're going to vote Democrat? Demon-crat? Fools. Frederick Douglass, I quoted him a few times. He says, if war among the whites brought peace and liberty among the blacks, what would peace among the whites bring? Their war, white versus white, got you peace and prosperity. And look what happened in Reconstruction, 12 years. Now they're in peace. What do you think you're going to get? Now they're kumbaya together. What do you think you're going to get? Open season. And it is open season. Look at the news. Which of you do not have anybody in your family who's been a victim of brutality and injustice? Who? Who has not been a victim of it, or don't have anybody in the family who's been a victim of it? This is not a hate anybody speech. I even said many times, do not even think about joining up with no black Hebrew. I'm not a black Hebrew Israelite. I'm a Hebrew who happens to be a Melantonic. All I'm saying is wake up and think. Live a righteous life. Stop going after the blueprint of your oppressors whose design is against you, has always been against you. Designed to rule you in fear, to keep you grounded. After your Reconstruction period was over, you had the Jim Crow system. And in the 60s, all you did was rehash the fight you won in 1870. So 90 years later, you came along and brought the same fight. Ida B. Wells said, "We will never understand or get accurate depiction of the African American race if others are writing our stories." That's why I write. That's why I write. I'm going to probably I have some more to say about this Reconstruction, and I'm going to have to go ahead and do another segment on this. I'm going to end it right here, but I ask for your support. I have another book coming out. Hopefully next week I'll be able to present it. If not, it should be in 2 weeks. I pray for your support. For as a thinking people, this is not hate speech. This is truth speech. This is Remnant Radio. I get my information from Remnant Preaching, and this is for those who are thinking people. Your Lord God and Jesus Christ has been given to you as a blueprint for fear to ground you in depression and repression. There's something more dangerous going on out there. It's happening right now as we speak every day. And it's too serious and your brain can't even wrap around it. If I can't get you to accept the simplicity of your Redeemer, your Messiah, how can I even sit at this mic and tell you about the bigger things that's really going on? Things that are so huge, you would flabbergast you. Your mind you will go numb. I can't even go there because I can't even get you to accept your Messiah. But I'm going to press on. I'm going to press on. Until then, I told y'all, wake up Yisrael, y'all, Jonathan Dawid with you here, Yahweh for Christian, Shalom, Shalom.